Welcome back to Rissington for the Orney Company Super 1 British Karting Championships. The next class up is Senior Rotax. Joining me is Jack McCarthy. Now, Jack, you've moved up from juniors last year, but at the end of last season, you got a terrific reward going out to Maranello with Ferrari. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, they tested us, like mentally trained us and physically trained us, and then on the last day we was out in the F4 car. It was a really good experience learning how the Ferrari Driver Academy trains their drivers and what is like living at Ferrari.
And you're how old now?
I'm 15 at the moment, I'm turning 16 soon.
Okay, so what are your plans then moving forward? We see a lot of kids going out of karting quite young. Is that your plan? Are you going to stay in it till you're 18, go into the senior classes?
I hope to do either F4 next year or maybe year after, just depend how it goes this year.
And obviously this year you're looking to go back-to-back junior, senior titles. You had a good start to the season at round one. How's it going this weekend so far?
I'm struggling this weekend, but I think we're going to sort it out for the final now. Pre-final and the final should be good.
Time for action at Rissington then. Harrison Thomas and James Johnson on the front row. Jack McCarthy and Josh White. Josh Collins and Ben Davis round out the top six with the leading rookie Nicholas Scholl, Morgan Rose, Josh Skelton and Charlie Turner. It's going to be a very interesting one, that battle through the top 10. Keep an eye on Stephanie Levisconte and Carol Van Bussicum as well as they make their way through. Up to the first corner. It's a great start from Harrison Thomas. He's got into the lead first time of asking, and a very interesting battle behind. It's a little bit cleaner, it has to be said, than the previous two starts. Everybody just about getting through without incident, but there's a little bit of jostling to be expected in a championship this competitive. But Harrison Thomas leads the way, and it's looking good for now.
Yeah, Harrison was my one to watch for the season. I thought he could be the one to upset the major teams and take the championship this season. 5th place, I think he was after round one. So got a little bit of work to do. Well, plenty of work to do, quite frankly, from there. But he's out front at the moment.
And who's that in second? It's Jack McCarthy. He's doing a pretty good job just in front of James Johnson as they try and give chase. The Strawberry boys working very hard indeed to close up on our race leader. And it's that age-old story in Senior Rotax, isn't it? KR Sport versus Strawberry Racing. Here we go again in 2016.
Yeah, Dan Holland as well, you might want to mention in that mix. And the DHR driver there in 5th place. That's Josh Collins, I think it is.
We can't forget the Coles Racing operation as well. They've got some good drivers in for this year as well. Josh White is in the mix. Stephanie Levisconte trying to make her way through the field as well. So it's all about the team game here.
Carol Van Bussicum just going through the picture right at the back of the group there. Spoke to Carol earlier, you may remember. And up the inside for the lead, that is the 81 of Jack McCarthy, who we also spoke to earlier, of course.
Didn't take him long to get that one done, did it? He saw his first whiff of an opportunity into the elbow. Thank you very much. I'll take the lead. Cheers, Harrison. And right onto the tail of him now comes James Johnson. He tried to repeat the move, didn't he, in the elbow? He thought, well, if Jack can get through, there might just be a bit of a gap for me to follow along as well. And that hasn't quite happened, but Harrison Thomas hasn't given up. He's going to go for it into the dog leg. Beautiful move up the inside, and now Johnson's going to try and go with. He's done it. That's a beautiful little move.
McCarthy loses another 2. He's down from 1st to 5th in 2 corners. Jack McCarthy had the lead into the dog leg and loses it by the first part of bottom bend. There he is now in 5th place. It's Collins up to 4th.
That is the quality of the field this year, that if you just bat an eyelid for a split second, you can go from 1st to 5th in a heartbeat, and that is absolutely incredible to watch one of the top drivers in the country tumble down the order in the space of a few seconds. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, Senior Rotax, very competitive drivers, incredibly competitive teams, and it's going absolute full guns blazing in 2016. Great pictures again from the drone above Rissington. It's a beautiful circuit to be given all of this incredible airtime, and the drone doing its work. James Johnson up into 2nd position now, as we know, on the tail of Harrison Thomas. 3rd place, Josh White in the 17, making his move on the inside. Couldn't quite get the move done there, the Coles driver, but he's definitely knocking on the door. 4 different teams, by the way, Alan, in the top 4 places right now. That's how competitive Senior Rotax is in 2016. Magic stuff. There's Tom Croydon. 16th place after the first round of the championship. He was looking to go a bit higher than that. And there's Ben Davis now right in the mix as well, the Dan Holland Racing driver. He was the Intercontinental Cup winner at PFI last year. So this boy knows exactly what it means to work his way through the field. We've got some absolutely incredible talent in Senior Rotax in 2016. And And these 5 drivers at the front still nose to tail with 4 different teams in the top 5 places, and Jack McCarthy trying to assert himself back again. 6th place is the 11 of Ben Davis, and just in behind him, that's the rookie Nicholas Scholl, leading rookie in the championship, and he's actually put in some pretty impressive performances in the first 2 weekends of the 2016 season. He's very much at home here.
Yeah, the Austrian has shown some good pace in the first 2 rounds, hasn't he, Nicholas Scholl? And it wouldn't surprise me to see him, even as a rookie, take a win this season. But it is Harrison out front with James Johnson in 2nd place.
Time and time again we see drivers crossing the waters to come to Great Britain, because here in Britain we do know how to make great champions. Just look at the list of racers that have come across from other countries to race here and go on to international superstardom. I can remember the likes of Rodolfo Gonzalez, who came over here and is now very successful. He's been in America, he's been in World Sports Cars, he's in the World Endurance Championship at the moment, and a lot of drivers who have come across to the British karting scene because that's the way to go forward.
Yeah, none more so perhaps than Johan Darawala, who won the British Junior Championship. Jake, tell us a little bit about what Johan's doing now.
Well, he's now racing in Formula Renault 2 litres out in continental Europe, and he's knocking on the door of a Formula 3 drive, and that was only 3 years ago. Don't forget, he was racing in Great Britain for the National Championship. So that's how much it means to a young driver to leave their homeland and race in Britain. Why do they choose Britain? Because it breeds the best. It's proven.
Yeah, it's well known that British karting is the best in the world. This championship is widely considered the top national karting championship in the world, which is why it does attract drivers from around the world. That's the 11 kart going through the shot there. That is Ben Davis on the 11. Scholl, the rookie, right in behind him. Still Josh White there in 3rd place. He was a winner at round 1, of course, and he's close enough to take this one. He'll be fancying himself for another win here to keep himself in contention in a championship. In fact, if he wins this, potentially could he lead the championship? I haven't worked the points out, but he's up the inside of Johnson, and that is Josh White up to 2nd place.
And Collins got through as well into 3rd position, so down to 4th place now goes James Johnson. Both the Strawberry drivers at the front end of this field taking a tumble then. Johnson down to 4th, McCarthy down to 5th, so there's really some interesting action at the front of this field. We were just watching for a couple of laps there, Nicholas Scholl, and we were talking about him as a rookie in the championship. You tend to find drivers who come over from other disciplines of karting elsewhere in the world, they have a very different style to them, but what I'm impressed with in particular with Scholl is that he's adapted to the smooth British style very, very quickly. He's not going all guns blazing, he's being very calculated, very methodical about how he goes about trying to take on Ben Davis. He's learning very quickly in this sport, and it's very easy to make a mistake. Well, he tried to have a go there, and unfortunately Charlie Turner got the better of him, and so too did Josh Skelton on the 43, so a little bit of a mistake there from Scholl, just a little bit over-eager, but he'll learn very quickly.
Well, the one thing you will learn racing in the UK, Jake, is you've got to be on it all the time. These are some of the most aggressive drivers in world karting at this level at the British Championships. We know that British drivers, frankly, you give me one chance, I'll go for it straight away. That's something you don't always see from other European karters, but in Britain we have, well, it's just the way it is in the UK. Very aggressive style.
Whoops, oh, that was the 72. That was Casey Watson going a little bit wide there on the elbow. Just about managed to get it together as we lost the shot. But you're absolutely right. Maybe it's the fact that we've got the BTCC in this country. We have a very aggressive stance as a driver, or we know how tough it is to put a British driver into Formula One. You've got to fight tooth and nail like Lewis Hamilton did in this very paddock as a teenager. You've got to be absolutely on it every single race. You can't afford to give any less than 100% if you want to be the best in the world.
Now, don't forget, of course, one of the things that the MSA have introduced this year is the front nose cones. We had a look at the brackets at round 1. If you do run into somebody in front of you, your nose cone there, as we look at it, the front fairing will drop, and that will give you a 10-second automatic 10-second penalty, whether something's been seen or not. So, and what the MSA are trying to do there, Jake, of course, is get away from the amount of contact driving and loading that we do see in British karting. I say the drivers are very aggressive. I'm not meaning that in a negative way. You have to be aggressive at this level. If you want to win, you've got to get one chance and go for it straight away. You can't afford to sit behind somebody for 5 or 6 corners, you've got to go for it. But the new front nose fairings they're certainly making a difference. A lot of people getting penalties.
Yeah, it was a controversial decision when it was discussed over the winter and then eventually passed, but I have to say, I like it. I think it actually smoothens out the racing. I see better moves from drivers as a result of that. People are not quite so gutsy and not quite so haphazard. They're actually calculating when and how to make the moves a little bit more. You see much more intelligent overtaking than you do now as a result of it. I actually think it's a brilliant move.
Yeah, well, it certainly stopped the loading at the start of races through turn 1, although having said that, we've seen a little bit about that this weekend already in the earlier races. However, on balance, it has stopped a lot of the loading of karts up into turn 1, and we're seeing a lot less incidents through the first couple of turns than we used to.
Well, while we've been chatting away, Ben Davis has managed to get the move on the 81 of Jack McCarthy, who has, over the last few laps, been falling away from the top 4 pretty radically. And I noticed, actually, Jack McCarthy, as he came through the elbow, he had his hand in the air, almost as if to say, well, something that Ben Davis might have done in front of him was not correct, or whether the marshals he was trying to get a message to them or something. But Jack McCarthy looking very frustrated down in P6.
Well, he did say earlier on, didn't he, that he'd been struggling, was hoping to have sorted it out for the pre-final and then the final. Well, it looked like he'd sorted it out early on in this race. He was leading this race early on, but he's well behind now. So Jack having some sort of issue with the kart. That is Josh White, the 17, second place at the moment, one last time. He's going to have to make a move on the last lap. He's going to win this time.
Look at that, the fastest lap. Josh White and Josh Collins are dead level to the 100th of a second. That's how close it is for second position. Tucked in behind Harrison Thomas, who now is going defensive. He looks behind, up the inside. That's going to be a brave move if he can get that one pulled off. Josh White takes the lead, and Collins is going to get through to second. Harrison Thomas is going to go down to 4th.
Harrison, look behind him, Jay. I said that earlier on. You can't afford to do that. That was the invitation, and it was accepted by White.
Now Thomas is coming round the outside. Oh, he goes off on the grass. He's lost everything there. Psychological game plan lost, and it's a victory for Josh White. Absolutely incredible. Collins snatches second. Third position is James Johnson. Harrison Thomas 4th from Davis, McCarthy and Scholl. It took a while for it to happen, but my word did it kick off right at the end. Well done, Josh White.
Talk us through that last lap and the move you did up at the dogleg. It was superb.
Yeah, it was close the whole time. I just couldn't get close enough to overtake him where I had a good opportunity. On the last lap, it was a last second thought just to dive up the inside, and it worked out well.
Great racing drivers are like comedians. Timing is everything. That move just gave him the championship lead. 4 points ahead of Johnson now, and 1 more ahead of Josh Collins, 2 more ahead of Harrison Thomas, with Jack McCarthy waiting in the wings after a struggle this weekend at Rissington. Well, we thought Senior Rotax would be good. There's a little bit of moisture on the ground for the Junior X30s. Things are going to be much more interesting when we come back to Little Rissington. Don't go away.